Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling invisible? Like your words dissolved mid-air? Like you were talking but no one truly listened? That aches, the one where your voice feels unheard, it lingers longer than we admit. And yet, just a shift in tone of the well-placed pause and knowing glance can turn any conversation into your moment of power. But it's not about manipulation, it's about connection and knowing how to gently steer the emotional current. Because when you understand the psychology of communication, you don't chase attention, you invite it. You don't beg to be heard, you become unforgettable. And today, I'll show you how. Welcome back to Desire Switch, the space where your softness becomes your superpower, where we talk about love, psychology, and feminine influence, all from a place of deep, quiet strength. If you've ever wished you could control a conversation not with force, but with grace, this video is for you. Let's begin. Psychology. Trick 1. The velvet mirror, reflecting emotion, not just words when someone speaks. They're not just sharing words, they're revealing how they feel. Most people respond to words, but if you respond to emotion, you instantly stand out. Here's how it works. When someone says, "I'm so sick of this project," instead of saying, yeah, me too, try, sounds like it's been weighing you down, you're not just agreeing, you're validating the emotion underneath. It's called mirroring emotion, and it triggers a powerful psychological response. The person feels seen, and when someone feels emotionally seen, they subconsciously let you lead. This is how therapists guide breakthroughs, how charismatic people make others lean in, and how feminine energy becomes magnetic, not by talking more, but by feeling deeper. I remember a friend pouring her heart out about her breakup. Everyone gave advice. I just said, that must have felt like being abandoned all over again. She froze, tears welled up, and from that moment, she opened up completely. That's the velvet mirror, soft, but deeply powerful. Psychology. Trick 2, the pause that pulls, mastering silent control. Silence is not awkward unless you believe it is. In fact, one of the most powerful tools in conversation is the pause, but not just any pause, a purposeful pause. Here's what it does psychologically. When you pause after someone speaks, you signal depth. You show that you're truly processing, not just waiting to reply. And when you pause before you speak, you create anticipation. People lean in, their brains search for meaning in the silence. This is a subtle control switch, but magnetic. Try this. Next time someone shares something, wait 2 seconds, let your eyes stay soft, then speak slowly. Watch how the entire mood shifts. They feel calm, drawn in, open, because power doesn't shout, it whispers and waits. Psychology. Trick 3, the echo frame, guiding without force. Have you noticed how some people always seem to win arguments without ever sounding aggressive? They're using what psychologists call framing, but here's a softer version of the echo frame. It's when you take what someone says, reframe it with empathy, and guide them to your conclusion without them even realizing it. Let me show you how. Imagine someone says, "I don't think she should have left him. That was too impulsive." You could say, "Maybe." But sometimes walking away feels impulsive when in reality it's been building for years. You didn't attack. You didn't say, "You're wrong." You echoed their thoughts, then gently reframed it through a different lens. Now the person sees your side, and often they adopt it without resistance because you didn't push, you guided. This is especially powerful in romantic conversation when you want to shift his perspective without triggering his defenses. Words become your ribbon, not a rope. Psychology trick 4, micro expressions reading the truth beneath the mask. Controlling a conversation isn't just about what you say, it's about what you notice. And one of the most powerful ways to gain silent control is by reading micro expressions. These are tiny, involuntary facial expressions that lasts less than a second but reveal someone's true emotion. You don't need to be a mind reader. You just need to notice. For example, does he look away when you say something vulnerable? That's not disinterested, it could be emotional discomfort. Does her smile twitch downward when complimenting you? That's not kindness, it might be envy masked as praise. When you start seeing these subtle cues, you understand the emotional terrain of the moment. And once you can read it, you can navigate it. I once dated someone who said all the right things. But every time I talked about my dreams, his eyes darted, lips tightened, and he'd change the subject. I ignored it until those same fears surfaced as sabotage later. Micro expressions don't lie, they whisper the truth to those willing to see. Psychology, trick 5, anchoring safety, making them feel seen so they follow, want to control a conversation, make the other person feel safe in your presence because people don't follow logic, they follow emotional safety. This is where anchoring comes in. Anchoring is when you associate a feeling with your presence. For example, every time someone opens up to you, you nod gently, speak slowly, stay fully present. Over time, your presence becomes anchored to comfort. So even if the conversation shifts, they'll subconsciously seek your cues for emotional regulation. That's control, not through power, but through trust. Real life use. In relationships, this can shift everything. If your partner feels calm and validated around you, they'll mirror your tone in arguments, they'll seek your energy when they feel lost. It's the softest form of leadership and the most lasting. Now, if you've ever wished you could say just the right thing to make a man feel more connected, more addicted, more loyal, there's something I discovered that changed the way I understand male psychology. It's not loud, not manipulative, just a quiet way of switching on the emotional triggers in his mind that makes him feel like you're the only woman who truly gets him. If your heart's been craving that kind of connection, I've left something gentle and beautiful for you below. Only explore it when you're ready. Because of this kind of influence, it's sacred. You don't need to speak louder to be heard. You don't need to argue better to win. True power, feminine power, lives in subtlety, in softness, in presence. These 5 psychology tricks are not about becoming someone else. They're about returning to the part of you that already knows how to lead without ever raising your voice. So, the next time you're in a conversation, remember, mirror emotion, pause with purpose, frame with softness, read with your heart, anchor with safety. You already have everything it takes. If this spoke to your soul, if you feel seen even just a little, you're not alone. Subscribe to Desire Switch and let's keep growing in grace together. Until next time, stay soft, stay powerful, and remember you never have to force the world to listen. You just have to speak from your center. Thank you, friends.